Hare Krishna, welcome to our Gita study session. We are in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This chapter is titled Karma Yoga. Karma means action, a work, any work. Yoga means a path to connect, a path by connecting to the Lord and attaining liberation, a path to attain liberation by the process of connecting to God. It's a Karma Yoga. In this chapter, Krishna talks about the importance of karma, why one has to do action, and how these actions or works binds us, and how one can stay detached from these actions. How this karma yoga, the path of karma yoga, helps one to attain liberation. Okay, so in connection with second chapter, Arjuna was confused after hearing about Krishna spoke about karma yoga. One has to do work with the spirit of detachment, with proper intelligence, buddhi. And Krishna also talked about one has to fix his mind and intelligence unto the Atma, self, and attain liberation. One can work towards liberation. One can be a self-realized soul. Right? So that path is Gnana Yoga. So Arjuna was quite confused. If my goal is to attain liberation, if my goal is to fix my mind and meditate on the Atma or Paramatma or soul, then why should I work? What is the purpose of me doing this work? Why can't I go to the forest and meditate on myself and attain liberation? So that was his question. And Krishna says, that path is not for you. Right? So Krishna says in the verses 3 to 9, Krishna wants to emphasize the fact that Karma Yoga is the best path for Arjuna than Gnana Yoga. Because there are two types of people. There are two paths, there are also two types of people. One who renounce the work, not do any work, go to forest and try to work towards liberation. And the other set of people who stay in this world and still work and still can attain liberation. So the one who artificially renounces, so for one to renounce this world, go to forest, he has to have a purification of mind, purification of consciousness. Right? So if one artificially renounced, takes up the path of renunciation artificially, so he'll be in problem. Krishna says that person is a pretender, he is a mithyachari. Because everybody has to work. Working is very natural. By such work, we can purify our mind, purify our consciousness, then we can work towards liberation. Otherwise, there is no reason to artificially renounce. So we'll get into these verses, and Krishna, today, we'll see in the 9th verse, talks about the art of working. It's a very, very important verse we'll go through today. So this is in continuation. Krishna is condemning the path of Gnana Yoga, or the path of renunciation, artificially renounce. Okay. So in this verse, he continues, and again he talks about Karma Yoga, okay, in detail, why Arjuna has to work. So we'll see this verse. Verse 3.6, Karmendriyani samyamya ya asthe manasa smaran indriyardhan vimodhatma mithyachara sacha uchyate. Translation: one who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Okay, so we have Gnanendriya and Karmendriyas. Gnanendriya means like this is a Sanskrit word. English word is knowledge acquiring senses. Gnanendriya means knowledge acquiring senses. Okay. So what senses we have? The sense of vision, the eyes, we have the sense of vision. We look at something and we gain knowledge. I look at this phone, I say, yeah, this is my phone, right? I gained knowledge about the phone just by looking at it, right? Knowledge acquiring senses. We have this sense of smell. I smell a tasty food. If my wife is cooking pizza, so I know, so that is pizza. So that is also, by smelling, we are gaining knowledge. It's called knowledge acquiring senses, right? So like that, we have then sense of hearing, sense of tasting, sense of touching. These are all knowledge acquiring senses. So we also have karmendriya, that is working senses. Knowledge acquiring senses and working senses. Working senses are like these hands, legs, speech, and genitals. These are all called working senses by which we do the work. So karmendriyani samyamya, who tries to control his karmendriya, like his hands and legs, and try to forcefully sit in one place. He can do that. That's possible. But he also has to control his mind. That is a really hard thing. If a person tries to forcefully controls his hands, legs, and sits in a nice position, but his mind, he's thinking about enjoyments in his life, right? I wish I did this in my life. I want to enjoy that again. One is dreaming about his one. This is about a person who has taken renunciation and thinking about the enjoyments in life, enjoying through senses, right? So such a person, Krishna is saying, such a person is called a pretender. He deludes himself. So to take that path of renunciation, one has to purify his mind, purify his consciousness. Then one can take. If one artificially takes that path without proper guidance, again, one can take the path, but without proper guidance, if one take the path, that is so troublesome for him and also to everyone. Such a person, Krishna is clearly condemning that a person. Such a person is called a pretender. So we'll see a couple of stories here. So you can, let me mention, okay. So this person, I don't know this person, I just got the picture from Google. So this person, he's wearing all the nice dress of a yogi, right? Nice clothes and all this tilak and everything. But he renounced, he left his family. He looks like he renounced, he's living alone, away from family members. He took up the path of renunciation, but his mind is not purified yet. So you can see he's very much attached to smoking. He's very much attached to cigarettes, right? He's very much attached to drinking alcohol or doing all kind of adharmic things, right? Which are not supposed to be done by a renunciate. So if one takes a path of renunciation and doing all kinds of things, is deluding himself, right? He's cheating himself. So that's why Krishna is saying such a person is a pretender, is a problem to himself and also to the society. But in conversely, if a person purifies his mind with proper guidance, takes the path of renunciation, and there are some association people around to help him, to guide him, right? So then one can progress. But otherwise, that path is really condemnable. Krishna is saying no to that path. One cannot artificially take the path of sannyasa, a path of renunciation, without proper knowledge, without proper support and guidance. Okay, so this is a story about 4 monkeys. Okay, this is not a real story, but there is a message we can see from this story. So the 4 monkeys, they want to fast on Ekadashi. Ekadashi is a day, one day, the devotees of Lord Vishnu, they take this vow to fast, not eat anything that day. And they break the fast on the next day, the Dwadashi day, they break the fast by sipping some water or drinking any or eating anything, food stuff. So they don't eat any food stuff on the day of Ekadashi. So these 4 monkeys, they once decided to take up Ekadashi. So not to eat anything on that day, right? So is it possible for monkeys? The monkey's mind is always restless, flickering, right? If they were to take the path of not eating anything, it's really hard for them, right? So their mind is always thinking about bananas. Their mind is always thinking about bananas. How can they do that? So these 4 monkeys, yes, they decided. And one monkey says, because he wants to eat bananas, he doesn't want to fast. This monkey says, you know what? We can take up this fasting, but next day when we need to break the fast, our body will be very weak, will not be energetic, right? So we need strength. We cannot jump from tree to tree and get the bananas to break the fast. Let's do one thing. Let's go and get all the bananas and keep in front of us, and we can do this fasting day. They went and got all the bananas in front of them, and they are looking at bananas. They couldn't resist. They couldn't control their emotions. Right? So they're fixed on their path, but they couldn't control their emotions. The other monkey says, you know what? When we break the fast, next day will be, full day will be fasting. We'll not be having energy. We cannot even lift this banana and keep in your mouth. We cannot even lift the banana and keep it in our mouth. It's really hard for us. So let's do one thing. Let's everybody hold the banana and keep it in your mouth, but don't swallow it. Keep it in your mouth, but don't swallow it. So everybody did that, kept the banana in their mouth, all the monkeys. We know what happens next. All the monkeys, they swallowed and ate the bananas, right? So the message here is, this mind is like that. We all say like it's a monkey mind, right? Mind is always restless. Mind always pulls us towards something which we don't want to do, right? If a person doesn't want to smoke and he tries to control, mind always says, go and smoke, go and do it. That is a restless mind, right? So mind has to be controlled. If the mind is not controlled, such a person is called a pretender. And Krishna talks about how to control that, everything in upcoming verses though. So this is another story about 2 brothers. Again, the same message is same. So these 2 brothers, younger brother and elder brother, so they took up this path of renunciation, and they want to go to one place, and hear these spiritual disclosures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, right? So they want to hear that. So these 2 brothers, they were on their way to that destination. They want to go to that place, right? So while they're walking, there was a huge heavy rain. So these 2 brothers, they thought, okay, let's go to a place and take a shelter for some time. We cannot walk like this. So these persons, these 2 people, they went into a house. To their surprise, the house is a brothel house. It's like a club. There were all the women were dancing, there alcohol being served, all kinds of nonsense things were going on. So these 2 people, they were renunciates, but their mind got agitated. This one person's mind got agitated. We'll see that who's okay. But they both looked at it, and the elder person said, I cannot stay here. This place is a filthy place. I cannot stay here. Let me go out. And younger brother said, no, don't worry. Once the rain is settled, we can go. And this elder brother, Tavrit, his name is Tavrit, he decided, okay, let me go. I can't stay here any single moment. So he went, he walked out. He, despite heavy rain, he drenched and he went all the way to attend this disclosures, spiritual disclosures. So he went there, he sat there for some time, but his mind, he was listening, but nothing going on his mind, nothing going inside. He's continuously thinking about what he saw, what he saw there, brothel house, in the brothel house. Right? He sat for 1 hour, 2 hour, he stood up and went back. He decided, okay, this is not for me. These spiritual disclosures are not for me. Let me go back and enjoy. That's a good place to enjoy. So this person walked back. The younger brother who was there, he was thinking, he also saw that, but he was thinking, why am I here? Look at my elder brother. He went and he is ready to attend the spiritual disclosures. Am I what? Am I sugar? Am I salt? Will I melt in this water? No, let me go. So this younger brother also started going to this disclosure. So both are going in opposite direction now. Elder brother is going towards the other side and younger brother is going towards attending disclosures. So they all at a place and there is a big thunderstorm. They both died. So Lord Yama came, the Lord of Death came, and he saw these people. He saw these two folks, and he said, "Okay, let me take this elder one." Elder one complained, "Why are you taking me? I went. There is so heavy rain. Despite that heavy rain, I did my best to go to this place and attend the disclosures. I did a good act. Why are you arresting me? Why are you taking me to the hell?" And that time Yamaraja says this very important thing. The Lord of Death says, "Yes, that's right. Your mind got disturbed. Even after you going there, you are sitting there, but your mind was always thinking about that enjoyment. You wanted to go and enjoy, do that enjoyment, whatever you saw that. That's why you're coming back." So the message here is, so if a person to renounce, one has to purify their mind, purify their consciousness. If one artificially takes the path of renunciation without purification of mind, such a person is called a pretender. He dilutes himself, he cheats himself, and also cheats everybody. He becomes a problematic to the society. So next we'll read this verse. So Krishna in the previous verse talked about a person who takes up the path of renunciation and he's called a pretender. But in this verse is a converse statement that a sincere person, Krishna talks about a sincere person, how this person is better. Maybe I'll ask someone to read this Sanskrit and English. Anyone wants to read?
यस्त्वा इन्द्रियाणि मनसा नियमार्भतेऽर्जुन कर्मेन्द्रियात् कर्मयोगम् असक्त्या स विशिष्यते.
You want to read translation? Okay, I'll read translation. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. The previous verse, Krishna condemned the path of renunciation, and in this verse, Krishna is saying the path of karma yoga. A person who controls his mind and senses, and he works like a karma yogi without attachment, that person is superior. That path is superior. That person is superior to the person who artificially takes renunciation. Right? So what Krishna is extolling this, the path of karma yoga. So we looked at that, and we'll see the live life like a renunciate despite possessing everything, right? So that's what Krishna is saying. Instead of artificially renouncing everything and still thinking about the things of enjoyment, you can possess everything and live a life like a renunciate, right? One can possess the house, nice money, nice wealth, and still he can live life like a renunciate. That is, if one doesn't have attachment towards it. I have this phone, but I'm not attached to the phone, right? If the phone is present, I'm not disturbed. If the phone is not present, I'm still not disturbed because I have no attachment towards this phone, right? Is this possible? That's called mentally renouncing, like this doesn't belongs to me, right? So is it possible? Is it possible? Like anything we do in our daily life, is it possible? So let's analyze that a little bit. Yes, that is possible in a simpler way, right? Instead of artificially thinking or trying to artificially detach, one can attach towards something else that is higher, so by which one can naturally develop detachment. So let's see this verse, things will be more clear. Anasaktasya vishayan yadhardham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagyam uchyate. So this is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Is one of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. The translation given by Prabhupada here. So when one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accept everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. So what it means is, he, instead of artificially renouncing, if he accepts everything in connection to Krishna for a purpose, like I have this home, Krishna is not saying not to possess anything. Krishna is saying possess everything, no problem. Possess with proper consciousness, you can live a life of a renunciate, like a detached life, right? So how to do that? So this is a verse, right? So I possess this house, but I consider this house as a gift by the Lord. I use this house in the service of the Lord. If the house is present or not present, I'm not much disturbed, right? So same thing, any object, this is a problem with us, right? If you don't have that object, you always think about object. I wish I had it. Right? It could be a phone, a laptop, a money, or gold, or anything. If we got that object, then we think, okay, this object is for my enjoyment, like a phone. Okay, this phone is for my enjoyment. One would develop attachment towards it. It's very natural one would develop attachment towards a phone or any object, a house, a gold, dresses, or anything, right? It's very natural. One develops attachment towards the things. So Krishna is not saying not to possess thing, but possess with right consciousness, and remain detached. That's it, right? So that is anything we have in our life. We can possess everything, but one has to use with proper consciousness. Again, same thing, a phone, a laptop, a money, a house with proper consciousness. This does not belong to me. This belongs to the Supreme Lord. I use this in the service of the Supreme Lord. So that way one can naturally develop detachment. There is no need to artificially renounce and detach. So can you tell me an example? If you ask me, can you tell me an example? Yes, there are many examples, like Janaka. Krishna himself talk about this Janaka in the upcoming verses. We'll see that. So these great kings, right? Ambarish Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, right? So Prahlad, he got the vision of the Supreme Lord himself, right? Narsimhadev. Even after that, he ruled. He ruled, but he remained detached. He possessed everything, all the money, all the properties, but he still remained detached. He's not disturbed when the object is present or not, right? So these are the kings in the past, but in the latest times also, in the current generation, current times, like there are, we have this Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He's a one of the acharya in our path. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was also, he had everything, right? So he was a lawyer. He used to work, and he used to have 10 children. He used to have good money. So everything, despite possessing everything, he lived a life like a renunciate, because he connected everything, he accepted everything in relation with Krishna, seeing everything as Krishna's property, right? God's property. If you see this is my property, this is for my enjoyment, that's when we develop attachment towards it and create problem to ourselves and also to the people around us, right? And in the life of Srila Prabhupada also, during his good times, like people are offering many things, right? They are offering nice royal cars, right? So one person questioned, like, why are you accepting? You're a sannyasi. You're not supposed to be accepting everything, the luxury things. And Prabhupada said, I'm accepting because I'll use it in the service of the Lord. The car is present, not disturbed. If car is not present, also not disturbed, right? If Prabhupada mood was like, you want to use this for the service of the Lord, to spread this message so that he can do the preaching, basically, right? If one uses everything in connection with the Supreme Lord, as service to the Supreme Lord, he can be naturally detached. So that's why Krishna is extolling this path of Karma Yoga. A person, okay. We'll do a quick insight into this verse. Premature renunciate versus family man. The Krishna is saying, a person who prematurely renounces without purification of mind, that person is called a mithyachari. Krishna is condemning that person, artificial renunciate. And Krishna is also saying a dutiful householder is better. Krishna is talking about us, a dutiful householder. We are in this household life, we have family to take care of, we have children to take care of, we need to work, we need to earn money. How can we live in this world as a renunciate? Yukta Vairaga, we looked at in the previous slide, that Yukta Vairaga, accepting everything in connection with the Supreme Lord, for the pleasure of Supreme Lord. We can possess everything, but we can still remain detached. So life lesson, without purification of mind and consciousness, premature renunciation is simply a disturbance to the social order. Or for one to renounce, take up the path of renunciation, there has to be a purification of mind, purification of consciousness. If not, that person will be a disturbance to the society. Okay, we'll move on to the next verse. You can post in the Zoom chat if you have any questions, we can discuss. So Krishna is saying, so do your prescribed duty. Krishna and Priya extol the path of Karma Yoga and the person who dutifully works. And Krishna is saying this was saying, you do your duty. That is better for you. 3.8, verse 3.8. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jhayo hi akarmanaha sharira yatrapi chate na prasidhayet akarmanaha. Translation. Perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one physical body without work. Krishna is giving no chance for Arjuna to escape. Arjuna is looking for a time where Krishna says, okay, this path is good for you. No, Krishna is not saying that. Krishna knows very well the position of Arjuna, the mind of Arjuna, the consciousness of Arjuna. So Krishna is giving no scope for Arjuna to run away from the battlefield. That's why Krishna is saying, for you, Arjuna, you do your duty. Do your prescribed duty. Prescribed duty. Niyatam kuru karma. Everyone's prescribed duty is different. right? So one's prescribed duty is to work for others, right? One other person's prescribed duty is to make others work, not work for others, but make others work, right? The manager role or administration role, or others, some others prescribed duty is to be like a police officer to protect the nation, to protect the citizens. Right? So everyone's prescribed duty is different. But if a person doesn't do their prescribed duty, in the previous verse also we saw, if a person doesn't do their prescribed duty, that will create sin. So Krishna is saying, you better do your prescribed duty. That is better. And in other words, Krishna also saying, you cannot even maintain your body, Arjuna. You cannot even maintain your body. So, working is very intrinsic in our life, right? So we get up, every day we work. We get up, let me mute this. Okay, so we get up from the bed, we brush our teeth, we take bath, right? We eat some food. It's very natural. We work every day, and no one can say, I can live a life without working. Can someone say, I can live a life without working? No one can say that. Even a person who goes to the forest, takes up the path of renunciation, he still has to brush his teeth in the initial days at least. He still has to brush his teeth. He still has to take bath. If not, his body smells very badly. If his body smells very badly, how can he focus on the meditation? That's practically impossible. Right? So that's why Krishna is saying, no one can maintain their body, and no one can avoid work, right? One cannot even maintain their body without even working, right? Everybody has to work. Everybody will work. Let's move on. So we'll see the insert of this verse. Reasons given by Krishna for doing karma yoga than renounced order of life. Premature renunciation is unnatural. Right? Every day we work, we are very much used to this work, not this lifetime. We are used to this work from the many lifetimes. Right? We have so many desires to fulfill. We have so many desires to enjoy in different ways. Right? So if an art prematurely renounced, that's very unnatural. Taking the path of premature renunciation, that's very unnatural. That conflicts with our goals or with our lifestyle. Conflicts with our lifestyle. We want to live a lifestyle which aligns with our lifestyle, right? We don't want to live a lifestyle which doesn't align with our lifestyle. So the Krishna is saying that wouldn't lead to purification or advancement. It's also disrupt social order. So that a person who artificially renounces, he also creates problem to himself and others, right? So, and other thing, one cannot be able to maintain their body also. So work, Krishna is emphasizing again and again that Arjuna has to work, giving no scope for Arjuna to run away. It's same for us in our personal life also. We sometimes think, let me give up all these things. Let me take up the path of renunciation. Let me run away from my duties. Krishna is saying, no. The message is same for Arjuna and also to us. We also have so many duties to perform in our day to day. So we also have to work. But again, Krishna drives Arjuna towards this work with proper consciousness, like a karma yogi. You see that. So this verse is 3.9, art of working. Krishna talks about the art of working. So in this world, there are so many arts. There's the art of living. What is art of living? We live every day. What does it mean by art of living? Maybe I'll ask someone. Can someone say, like, what does it mean by art of living? Anyone? Okay, so art of living, basically living with proper consciousness, right? With proper consciousness, live a happy life, right? Not a disturbed life. That helps. If one lives with proper consciousness, that helps them. So it's art of living. There is something like art of eating. What does it mean by art of eating? We are eating every day. So there is the art of eating. That means like eat with proper consciousness that I'm eating this one. This helps me to help my body maintenance. Right? If person has some problems, then doctor prescribe them. Like you follow this, you change your eating habits and you follow this way. This is like art of eating. You are eating with proper consciousness, a proper food that will help in your nourishment. The same way Krishna is saying here, art of working. You work, whatever you do, but do with proper consciousness. The same work will help you in attaining liberation. So how to do that work? Work for the Vishnu. So we'll see this verse 3.9. Very famous verse, very nice verse, wonderful verse. Yagnardhat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadhardham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Translation. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you'll always remain free from bondage. So that is the art of working. Work as a sacrifice to Vishnu, for the pleasure of Vishnu. Work for the Supreme Lord. If one works for the pleasure of Supreme Lord, then one can free himself from the bondage. Right? So a karma means action. Any action has a reaction to it, right? So if I perform a good karma, I'll get a good result. If I donate water to some people, I'll get a good reaction. That is, I'll be given water, abundant amount of water in this life or next life. So I don't have to worry about water. Right? So when I do donate a water to the people, taking care of the needs of the people, that's a good karma. By which there is a reaction to that action is, I'll get a good result. But if one person performs a bad action, he attains a bad reaction. He has to go through the suffering. So what Krishna is saying, one can free from self from this bondage, right? So if one person has a good karma or bad karma, he has to take birth. If a person has good karma, he'll be born again to enjoy this good karma in this lifetime or next lifetime, in this world or on this earth planet or in heavenly planet. That is it. He has to do. That is a law of karma. That is law of karma. If a person has bad credits, right? He performed all sinful acts, then he has to go through suffering in this life or next life, on this earth planet or the hellish planet. Right? That's how law of karma works. Any action has a reaction to it, and one has to go through this. Krishna in this saying, you can break that. It's like break the ice. You can use a weapon and break the ice. Right? So same work. Whatever you're doing, do it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That way you can break this cycle of karma bandha, karma. You're not bound to the karma. So same thing. If I'm working for the pleasure of Supreme Lord, I'm not getting any new karma. I'm not accumulating any new karma. That means I'm ready for liberation. I'm on the path of my liberation. I don't have to take birth again, to deplete my karma. I don't have to go take birth again and go to kindergarten and again do PhD or do what are the jobs and again die, again take birth, again go to kindergarten, again learn ABCD. This like a punarapi janmam punarapi manam. So we may have these facilities, we may not have these facilities, right? We have whole baggage of karma, right? We never know what our next life will be. So if you want to break this cycle of birth and death, if you want to break this ice, the big ice, one has to use proper weapon. The weapon Krishna is saying here, if you want to break the cycle of these karmic reactions, you can do it just by doing your work with proper consciousness. That is art of working. So we'll try to analyze this a little more. Yajna here means sacrifice, right? A sacrifice. Yajna also means the Lord Vishnu, right? So why we do yajna? Right? So we can see in the temples or in homes, if they buying a new home, they'll do this fire sacrifice, right? So we'll learn in detail about in upcoming verses the purpose of this and yajna and all those things. But in short, so why people do yajna? So basically, the purpose of yajna is to please the Lord, to please the Supreme Lord. So the Brahmanas, they chant various mantras, and at the end of yajna, they'll do offering, and all the offerings, what are the way they're doing for what are the God, everything goes to the Supreme Lord. Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Everything goes to the Supreme Lord, right? If one has a material desires, like doing a yajna with a material desires, like I want a nice money, right? His desire also will be fulfilled. There are some yajnas are there. If you want something, if you are doing something, you're doing yajna with a desire to attain something, you can get it. But if you're doing this yajna with a desire to attain liberation or with a desire to attain the Supreme Lord, yes, that also can be provided. So what it requires to do this yajna, right? So one has to do this offering. Offering, it's a sacrifice of the individual's time and also individual's possessions, right? And not just all the possessions, like offering something like water in a way Lord can be pleased. So that is the purpose of yajna, right? Offering to please the Lord. So same thing Krishna is saying, connecting to this karma yoga here. Krishna is saying, just as like how you do your yajna, a sacrifice, you do your work. You do your work. Whatever the work you do as a yajna, as an offering, as a sacrifice to what? To the Supreme Lord. Not in a selfish way, right? In a selfless way. In a selfless way. Selfless way is to please the Supreme Lord. Like, look at this person here. If this person sitting here and doing some IT job, right? So there is a nice example I can tell. So this person is a IT programmer. Okay, he builds a software for a company. He works for the company, right? So his application is he has to build a system where customers go and run their cards, put their cards in, and all the money goes to the company bank account. If this person thinks, okay, why should all the money go to company? Why not me? If he writes a program in such a way that all the or 1% of the money is coming to himself, his own personal bank account, right? What company does? Kicks him out. And if this person acting for his selfish desire, he has a selfish desire, why company should get it, I should also get it. That's a selfish desire, right? So then he has to see the consequences. So similarly, not just this work, the message here is like any work we do, anything we do, if one works in a selfless way, as a service to the Lord, as an offering to the Lord, one can break this cycle of karma. One will not get any karmic reactions. So, in short, Krishna is saying, so you work for the pleasure of the Lord, as a service to the Lord, without expecting anything in return, success or failure, in the spirit of detachment. So we'll analyze a little bit with practical application, right? So there are two things of work, right? I work for myself, I work for a higher cause. The higher cause could be to please the Lord or to attain liberation. I'm working for Vishnu. I could work for myself or work for Vishnu. It's a selfless work. We'll go one by one. So if a person is working for himself, like a selfish work, right? So he may not put 100% of its efforts. He may become complacent. Right? Simple example: if I'm cooking for myself, I'm cooking for myself. Daily, I'm cooking for myself, but at one point, I may not put my efforts, like 100% of my efforts, to make this nice food. Right? But if I'm cooking for a real higher purpose, that is, I have a special guest coming. Right? There is a specialist coming to my home, then I'll put 100% of my efforts to do it correctly. For what? For the pleasure of my guest. I want my guest to be happy. So I see more pleasure in the happiness of my of my guests. Right? So same thing. So if one works for a Vishnu, anything we do, IT job or non-IT job or police officer job, any job we do, when we do for the pleasure of Vishnu, for the happiness of Vishnu, then we'll put 100% of our efforts, no doubt in it. So another example we can do is house cleaning, right? If I'm cleaning my house, how nicely I can clean. The motivation, what's the motivation for me to clean? There's no motivation. Like, okay, I'll try my best to clean. Okay, I'll keep things clean. But if my special guests are coming, same thing. I'll make sure I clean it perfectly, right? Because there is a higher purpose here. If let's take this way. Like if I'm having my house a big mess, okay, but if I go to temple and do the cleaning, right, the purpose is different here. Okay, that is, I'm working the same cleaning job. I can do the cleaning for myself in my house, or I can do the cleaning job in the temple for a higher purpose, that is cleaning for the pleasure of the Lord, to make the temple clean, right? What I do when I'm doing that volunteering service, I'm putting my 100% of my effort. For what? For the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, right? The same thing. So the point here is, the message here is, like, there's a selfish work and selfless work. Krishna is trying to make the point that if one works in a way for the pleasure of the Krishna, you can put your 100% on efforts. Success is guaranteed. So some people say, like, I'm putting all my efforts, but there is no success. But are you putting sincere efforts? There's a question to ask. So if a person does a selfless work, right, he is always worried about results. How the results will come. Will those results will come in my favor or not come in? Always worried. But a person who is working, right, he lives for the pleasure of Krishna. He leaves everything to Vishnu. Let God take care. Let God give, right? So he puts 100% efforts and leave the results to the Lord. And that way he can remain undisturbed. And if a person, he also could get disturbed by the success or failure, right? I mean, not endeavor will be success, or not every endeavor will be a failure. Sometimes we see success or failure, right? If a person seeing the success and again, that is also a disturbance. He'll become proud of his achievements. If a child is getting 100% marks in every exam he writes, right? He gets attached to that 100% marks. Little bit of failure, he'll totally disturbed. She'll get totally disturbed, right? because this child is very much attached to seeing this 100% marks every time. So conversely, a person who works for the Supreme Lord, offer the result to the Supreme Lord, he remains detached. His success or failure, he thinks that's God's mercy. So on the left side here, you can follow my pointer on the screen. So this person harbors all the negative emotions because of selfish work like pride, anger, greed. His life is very disturbed. But if a person works for the Vishnu, for the pleasure of the Lord, he's what kind of emotions he embody, right? So all the positive emotions, happy, peaceful, right? he can able to focus. Such a person with clean mind, clean consciousness, he can fix his mind on the Supreme Lord. A selfish work, this is a last point. A selfish work causes bondage, repeated cycle of birth and death. But a selfless work leads one to liberation. Okay, so I'll quickly move on. So this is a nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Vishnu speaks to Prachetas. I'll read this. The perfect karma yogis, even while fulfilling their household duties, performing all their works as yajna to me, knowing me to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities, they spend whatever free time they have in hearing and chanting my glories. Such people, though living in this world, never get bound by their actions. Lord Vishnu is saying to Prachetas that about a karma yogi, a yogi who lives in this world, performs all kinds of work like a yajna. Yajna means an offering, a sacrifice, in the mood of a sacrifice, as an offering to the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord, as a service to the Lord. He remains naturally detached. No need to renounce the thing. He can possess the thing and he can develop the level of detachment naturally. So by such way, by connecting, working for the pleasure of the Lord as a yajna, right? So one can connect his mind to the Supreme Lord, right? And he can spend his life happily in the path of devotion. So nice life lesson here. When we do karma yoga for Krishna, Krishna takes the karma and gives us the yoga. When we do karma yoga for Krishna, Krishna takes the karma and gives the yoga. So when we do karma, we'll get good karma or bad karma, right? Either way, even if I'm sitting here not doing anything, I still get karma and a reaction to my action, right? I'm sitting here, I don't know how many insects I killed by me sitting on this chair, right? So there are small insects here, and I'm breathing in, breathing out. I don't know how much problem I'm causing to the many species, right? We don't know. Many things are there. So the law of karma is anything you do, there is a reaction. But when you do the same thing for the pleasure of the Lord, right? Krishna takes care of it. You don't need to worry about, will I get good karma or bad karma? Well, not talking about bad karma, talking about good karma. So will I get good karma? I'm doing good activities, nicely taking care of family, doing charitable things. These are all good actions. Nicely taking care of family, I'm doing charitable things, donating money to the temple, right? And any actions, will I bound to the karma? Yes. But if I do that karma for the Lord, will I still be bound? No. Right? Krishna takes care of karma, nullifying the karma. This is a point. Krishna takes care of nullifying the karma. Right? This is an offering. When we make the offering, we'll get a result. Right? In yajna, when we do the offering, we'll get a result. Right? Good life or whatever the things we try for. The same thing. When you work for the Vishnu, the result is Krishna takes care of nullifying the karma and gives the yoga. Yoga is the way we can connect to the Supreme Lord. We can focus our mind on the Supreme Lord. This way, if a person lives his life, he remains detached. Doesn't need to renounce things and go to forest and meditate, or go through so many struggles, and still live a life like a renunciate, live a happy life. What do you need to do? Same thing. But offer to Vishnu. God Vishnu takes care of clearing the karma. He gives the yoga so that we can connect him. Okay, so I think this is a different section. Here Krishna talks about yajna. Since Krishna talked about yajna in the previous verse, so Krishna talks about what is this yajna, how this yajna works in this world, right? We'll see this in the next session. I'll stop here. It's already 7:30. So from this section and all upcoming verses from 10 to 16, Krishna talks about karma khanda to karma yoga. In previous verse, Krishna said, you work for the Vishnu, you'll remain detached, right? But if you still have the material desires, so Krishna blocked the path of renunciation. He said no to that. There is no option for Arjuna there to go to the forest. And he also said, you work for the Supreme Lord, you can detach. But one may ask, I still have desires. I cannot practice that. I still have desires to be fulfilled. Krishna is saying, you work. If you want to fulfill your desires, you fulfill your desires in a dharmic way, in the framework of dharma, in the framework of dharma, as prescribed by the Supreme Lord. When you live your life like that, you could fulfill your desires and you can naturally develop detachment. And Krishna talks about the system he designed. He designed the system of yajna. Right? What is this yajna? How this system, God's creation, this system works. How one can dutifully fulfill the desires and live a dharmic way of life. So that those things we'll see in our next session. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or thoughts or realizations, we can take now.